So the starters out there, and a young starting group. In fact, of the 10 starters, only one has reached the age of 30. That's Alonzo Mourning. And you see the East getting the best of the game in recent games.
Reflective of the changing nature of the NBA. No Ewing, no Jordan, no Barkley, no Olajuwon. Never has the transition been so abrupt. Never has it gone to such a young group.
And 9 first-time All-Stars, 7 on the East, as Joey Crawford throws it up. Crawford, Joe Forte, and Terry Durham, the officials for the All-Star tilt.
I think the first thing we look for, Mike, is which one of these coaches is going to pretend that they're trying to coach and run some plays rather than turn these players loose and see what they can get done as they try to go into Shaq.
O'Neal quickly doubled. Shot clock down to 4. Kobe Bryant. Tim Duncan with a board. Duncan, as always, using the glass, and no one does that better.
The size, the strength of the Western Conference, that front line of Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Shaquille O'Neal. Nothing even the high-flying Vince Carter could do to deal with that much size.
But a big disparity, at least in the starting lineups in the East and the West. Carter, who had a great night last night, winning the slam dunk, misfires on his first.
How unusual, the first 2 shots taken by Kobe and Vince Carter, both of them from the perimeter.
Now, center's not winning.
What do you mean, how unusual?
O'Neal blocked by Mourning, but a foul. The center's not getting the MVP. Is that discrimination by the voters or just the style of play?
It's the style of play. You get these gunning guards, these little pretty boys on the perimeter that want to come out here and put on a show. This is the one chance they don't have to listen to the coach. Allan Iverson, though.
He's the leading scorer in the league, but you have to understand, centers always, Mike, have to have the game brought to them. As much as he's talking about pretty boy, you've never seen a center dribble more than once or twice. They don't pass the ball very well, but what they can do is catch it and dunk it.
Look at the greatest centers. Look at Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson. Nice, just barely missed shot.
Hard free throw as O'Neal shooting 48% from the free throw line, but having a spectacular first half of the season.
Allan has actually told his teammates that he's going to be the point guard and set everybody up today. They're a little skeptical. They want to be proven that fact.
Or Iverson playing mostly 2-guard with Eric Snow in Philadelphia. No real pure point guard on the East as Garnett misfires. Mourning a quick rebound.
The real secret is
shoot a three.
Which team is going to get up and down the floor and get to the rim, not which team is going to pull up and shoot a 3.
When does the actual first thought of defense come into a player's mind in these games?
Tuesday.
O'Neal with Mourning. Alonzo Mourning leading the NBA in block shots. Carter on the double team. Shaq misses. And Garnett with a tip.
That's a goal.
Where are these forwards? Where are the forwards for the Eastern Conference?
That ball was still on the rim.
Vince Carter and Grant Hill, they've got to box out on Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. It's like volleyball.
Alley-oop. And Carter from Iverson.
What are they going to box out on that?
Not a lot you can do about that.
So the East finally on the board after 2 minutes. Jones reaches in. Bryant swatted by Carter. Duncan looking inside for Kobe. Bryant gathering himself. Garnett tips it out, but right to Grant Hill. 4-on-2 for the East.
Wait a second. It's a little early for that.
Kobe Bryant Mourning breaking it up.
Well, now you know these guys saw the rookie challenge, and they really did put on quite a show, particularly in the open court with the dunks and everything else. So these guys may be trying to double that.
The penetration by Allan Iverson and Vince Carter just floating gracefully. The most spectacular play of the afternoon.
Mike, why does he always want to talk about the pretty boys?
This is their one day to shine. This is a one day when they're really relevant.
O'Neal showing some ball handling ability. Shaquille O'Neal. Mourning, good defense. And Eddie Jones the other way, 3-on-1. And Carter again. A replay from last night.
What we saw last night was taking it to the next level. Beautiful give and go here, but Vince Carter.
Mourning challenging Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, we got to have
offensive foul. Yeah. The whistle has been blown.
Alonzo Mourning is going to have no fun today. His guys are not running back on defense. He's going to be guarding 1 against 5. Shaq with the double clutch, then comes right back to throw it. They have to call that foul. The first whistle violation of the afternoon.
Well, guys like Mourning and Eddie Jones, because of their defensive mindset, that's hard for them to turn it off as Mourning misfires. 3.5 gone by.
Jason Kidd, who grew up watching All-Star games, dominated by Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. Talked to both of them before the game. Oh, Kobe. So sweet. I think Kobe is a little upset with all the focus in on Carter.
Of course, it was 2 years ago, the last All-Star game, when Bryant came in with all the hype.
And Kobe conspicuous by his absence last night while the world watched Vince Carter come alive.
What do you mean he's upset? Why would he be upset?
Well, he's not going to say he's upset, but Kobe, he wants to be the best player. He wants to be the focus of all this hype.
Duncan, an easy 2. So despite the lack of expected defense, neither team shooting well early. There seems to be a bit tentativeness out there. No question, Bill. There's some nerves. O'Neal whacks it off the backboard. Iverson wanting a goaltend. Carter from 3.
No reset of the shot clock. They had to go quickly.
Kidd knocks it away.
Now, I think the biggest problem for all these players is learning how
Iverson.
Vince Carter is showing a level of maturity, skill level. What are you looking at me like that?
Already you jumped on Vince Carter. I mean, you've already changed. I mean, I thought Kobe Bryant wanted to be the best, and what you're telling them is maybe Vince Carter's already won up.
But what he's done, that behind-the-back wraparound pass, coming on the heels of the lob, coming on the heels of the performance last night. This just might be the Vince Carter show.
Duncan, and a foul on Eddie Jones as he comes in. So it's taken less than a quarter for you to
look
change
at
your
that. Look at that. Well, this is the kind of game, Mike, where it changes in mid-sentence.
Jason Kidd, Garnett. Kidd and Payton perhaps having as much fun as anyone this weekend. Of course, both from the Bay Area in Oakland. Grant Hill off the mark. Iverson trying to save it, but the West will take it. And we'll have our first timeout. Just over 6.5 remaining. First quarter at the arena in Oakland. And it's the West jumping out to a 3-point lead.
Vince Carter, 7th in the NBA in scoring, leading his Raptors on a playoff surge right now, throwing down dunks. Creative, explosive, dynamic, vibrant passing, setting everyone else up. Allan Iverson finishing magnificently in the basket area.
And Carter, according to Jeff Van Gundy, will play 48 minutes today because the Knicks play in Toronto on Tuesday. Mourning with the left hand. Crediting his Georgetown pal, Allan Iverson. There's 3 Georgetown Hoyas and 3 North Carolina Tar Heels in this game.
How about the UCLA Bruins? There's
none of those.
There's one of those, Reggie Miller.
Jones, but throws it right to Bryant. Jones hoping for a whistle on that.
Kobe Bryant would have gone, and Kevin Garnett would have gone to UCLA, but they just decided to go straight to the NBA.
Alonzo Mourning from outside.
Alonzo Mourning.
Mourning having his second great, terrific season, was an MVP candidate last year. Right there again this year, Bill.
Alonzo Mourning was the number 2 vote getter overall behind Vince Carter.
And O'Neal.
This is not the kind of game, though, for Alonzo to have any sort of success. It's very, very difficult for a center, particularly with guys like he's got on his team who are not going to run back defensively or not going to pass him the ball.
Well, he's taking his shots, though.
He needs Pat Riley on his
I think that these guys need to forget about the defense and play and then wait until the end of the game. All of this business about who's not going to get what, it doesn't matter here. 5:23 to go in the first quarter.
Eddie Jones for 3.
A center in a game like this often finds himself in the Mark Eaton predicament.
Duncan, second effort. Care to elaborate?
Which is basically you are always at least 50 feet behind the play.
Last touch by Iverson, and the West will take it. We'll have our first substitution. Gary Payton will check into the game. The great Bill Russell on hand, as he coached yesterday with a rookie game.
And he celebrated his 66th birthday yesterday. Bill Russell just the king of this game. He's just been the toast of the town. He went to high school here, played his college basketball here. Easily one of the top 3 college basketball players of all time.
All right, then now both of the exciting guys that you had earlier, Bryant and Carter, out of the game. You want to
They took them out?
That's right. You want to go with another guy right now?
Jason Kidd, the 3, and Kidd knocks it down.
Are they trying to lose the audience?
Allan Houston not paying attention here. Houston in the game for the first time, as is Dale Davis for Indiana. So Kidd and Payton in the backcourt together, the 2 Oakland guys.
Well, you know, those guys, they like to talk a lot, Gary a lot more, but what Jason Kidd will do every now and then is he'll get on one of those hot streaks from the outside and start making perimeter shots. Looking for another one.
Another 3. Kidd, 2 for 2. They've seen that at 2 as his foot was on the line.
Jason Kidd has the advantage. He participated in the dynamic 2-ball competition last night, and then of course it was just a seamless transition for him right here to this event.
Wait, was anybody guarding him in that event?
And they're not tonight either.
Payton looking for Duncan and not expecting it. Kidd again.
The most I've ever seen Jason Kidd shoot.
Mourning knocks it out of O'Neal's hands. And they're going to say still, Joe Forte saying it's going to be West ball. Everybody going up the floor.
Poor Alonzo Mourning. He's out there by himself. Fortunately, Jeff Van Gundy brought in Dale Davis, who's got a little bit of pride about the way he plays defense in an all-star game.
Jeff Van Gundy, his first all-star head coaching experience is Dikembe Mutombo, the league's leading rebounder, and Reggie Miller, the UCLA Bruin, into the game.
You're going to tell me, once again, that Jeff Van Gundy put out scouting reports for all these guys and nobody read them about defense and what they should do?
No, he's calmed down a little bit on that, although he was trying to get them very organized. He just tried to stay out of the way a little bit, but Van Gundy looks really good today and sharp as can be. Doesn't feel that pressure of the weight of the world on him that we see him with on a weekly basis in New York.
Grant Hill and a foul. Beautiful move from Grant Hill, and a chance for a 3-point play as the West had gotten to a double-digit lead early.
Well, I think if the East is going to have any chance to get control of the first quarter of play, they're going to have to start doing more of what Grant Hill just did. Drive the ball to the bucket, get to the free throw line.
Where is Grant Hill? Where do you see the biggest improvement this year in his game, Steve?
In his jump shot. I mean, he's become a better perimeter player, which sets up his drive, which is the strength of his game.
He's hired a shooting coach. If he had gone to UCLA instead of Duke, he wouldn't have had to waste that much money.
Chip Engler, his shooting coach.
An outstanding coach who works a lot with Kiki Vandeweghe. Learned from Kiki, really, a lot of the techniques that he uses with Grant Hill.
Duncan now with 8 points to lead all scores. 10-point West lead. Allan Houston. Houston, of course, also with the advantage of the 2-ball last night, eh, Bill?
They didn't do very well, though.
No, knocked out in the first round. Houston having, without question, his best season in the NBA.
That is destined to become the signature event of All-Star Weekend. Especially the way the women outshoot the men on a consistent basis in 2-ball.
There are a number of teams that had that occur last night. There's Hill's jumper, won't go Duncan.
From a strictly basketball sense, Tim Duncan has been the MVP so far.
Garnett walks back out.
How did you make that selection?
He's got points, he's got rebounds, he's got leadership, directing the guys. And now he's going to reject Dikembe right here.
Mutombo blocked by O'Neal. His second rejection.
All of O'Neal's blocks have been goaltending. They refuse to call them.
Well, has there been a whistle violation other than Shaq's offensive foul, which had to be called? Dale Davis, high above the crowd.
Actually, it's great to see Dale Davis, a player of his caliber in this game. Miller hits the 3. Miller's teammate Davis, such an underrated player in their success over the years.
The Indiana Pacers are atop the Eastern Conference. They would not be there without Dale Davis, and it's a great credit to the NBA coaches that they selected Dale Davis. If he was on a last-place team, there's no way he'd be here.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you take Dale Davis over Latrell Sprewell?
No, I take Sprewell over Dikembe Mutombo, whose team is near in last place.
Mutombo trying to prove Bill Walton wrong.
So
gets it knocked out of his hands.
I get no answer, right?
Davis, quick shot.
There's Dale Davis. That's why he belongs. Right? Where's the standing, Steve? Where is the standing? I see Indiana on top. I see Atlanta at the bottom. I see New York right at the top.
Pacers with Miller. Number one in the Eastern Conference as Miller misfires on a three. Garnett the rebound. Reggie Miller playing in his 5th All-Star game. O'Neal. Broken play.
Broken backboard.
Shaq with 6 points and 6 boards early. And Allan Houston will call a timeout. Jeff Van Gundy obviously displeased with what he sees.
Furious. You probably get right in their face and start chewing them out the way we saw Jeff inspire the Knicks against the Heat last week.
1:07 remaining here in the first. Shaquille O'Neal getting it done at both ends for the West. O'Neal, 6 points, 6 rebounds, and a couple of blocked shots. And with just over a minute remaining in the opening period, the West with a 7-point lead here at the arena in Oakland. Fans around the world can log on to NBA.com for live audio broadcast in 10 different languages: English, Spanish, Japanese, French, Italian, German, Chinese, Portuguese, Polish, and Hebrew, including the great Federico Buffa from Italy broadcasting the game.
Do they have a stuttering
sia la regola che pone un tetto ai salari pagabili dalle squadre NBA.
Un nome e un cognome ha messo nel laser, nel mirino, Tracy McGrady, che lo ha convinto decisamente ieri. L'idea di portarsela a Washington, non molto d'accordo gli altri. Chissà cosa ne pensa Tracy McGrady, tra l'altro.
Sarebbe interessante saperlo, anche perché Tracy McGrady si dice vorrebbe tornare in Florida per il caldo, e a Washington tanto caldo non fa, soprattutto d'inverno. In campo David Robinson, Rasheed, Wallace, John Stockton e Karl Malone. Rivoluzionato il quintetto della Western Conference. Mutombo fuori per Houston, arresto, tiro, errore, arriva Grant Robinson e bagna il suo esordio all'All-Star Game, toccando il primo pallone e trasformandolo in...
Obviously they feel Tracy McGrady should be in this game.
I spend a lot of time on the satellite dish tuning into those broadcasts, and I get a lot of my material from Flavio.
Yeah, I like that. Robinson, you picked that up, right?
As you heard him say, the two Utah Jazz in the game, and Karl Malone and John Stockton. Malone making his appearance finally on Sunday. Robinson misses. Glenn Robinson playing in his first All-Star game.
Nice pass.
Stockton, beautiful off the glass.
Tease him, John. All these high flyers out there. John just comes in. No hype. Last shot time. Oh, time to run a play.
The oldest player in the game today, at 37 years old, Allan Houston. Wallace. Wallace, one of 2 first-timers on the West. Payton for 3, final seconds of the first quarter. And there's the buzzer. Tonight marks the second trip to the Bay Area for the All-Star game. Back in '67, San Francisco's Rick Barry with a game-high 38 points as the West won it 135-120. Barry 16 of 27 from the floor as his number on the Ring of Fame here at the arena. Those 27 field goal attempts, an All-Star game record. You saw him with that elegant trophy that now probably sits on his front lawn somewhere.
I had breakfast this morning with Rick Barry and Nate Thurmond. There was some controversy there because Nate Thurmond had a huge game, 16 points, 18 rebounds, and countless block shots against Chamberlain and Bill Russell, but they gave the MVP to Rick Barry. Rick said, hey, admittedly, Nate Thurmond was awesome in that game.
Who was your
Nate,
choice that year?
No, Nate must have bought breakfast.
No.
I mean, it's obvious.
They never give the MVP to the guys who do the dirty work, the guys who get the rebounds and block the shots,
Like Dale Davis,
or make the assists. Gary Payton was a classic example in the Phoenix All-Star game in the early 90s.
What is Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson?
Those guys, they had the ball every single play, like Rick Barry did in '67.
Stockton, a little fake, and John Stockton, his first 2 points.
Second 2. Got a layup?
Oh, excuse me.
Remember Bill telling us it's just basic basketball.
That's what Phil Jackson had them doing yesterday in practice. He had them practicing the imaginary layups, left hand, right hand. Third All-Star game for Phil Jackson. He is extremely pleased and proud to be here.
He's 2-0, undefeated as an All-Star coach. Mutombo,
That's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry. He lost in the Orlando game.
according to my All-Star notes. So I'll
Wait,
stay
Bill,
corrected again.
Bill,
I talked to Phil Jackson. He said he coached the Orlando game when Magic was the king of the world, and they were down by 30 at the half. So we're just going to have to check who's ever giving you your notes.
Well, you've become the All-Star historian. I'm going to go with you on this.
Yes, probably a good idea, Mike.
So he is 1-1.
You know what the All-Star game does bring out? It brings out the shake and bake of all of the big guys. They all try to dance with the ball. Mutombo, a nice tip in. And Mike, here's another tip. Never go with Bill.
Except if you want to be right.
Stockton with Allan Houston. And Payton was fouled.
We spoke about Gary Payton. Now here's a guy who had just a ton of assists in that Phoenix All-Star game just because he was passing the ball to some of the guys who were wide open. And Mitch Richmond ends up with the MVP. Gary Payton, one of those guys who's not into the hype, not into the awards. He's only into having a good time and helping promote the game of basketball on an international, global level now.
Stockton. Yeah, that's his third field goal. Stockton getting to the hoop. 6 points for Stockton. And the lead is 9.
Stockton has been an MVP in this before with just that basic kind of play and did it in Utah. The big dog can't finish that play, but you know what is going to have to happen for these guys? They're going to have to make some shots, and they're not making enough shots right now to stay close. Mutombo gets it back.
I'm about ready to give John Stockton the MVP. A few more forays to the hoop. You're watching the NBA on high-definition television.
Amazing silence during this timeout. A video tribute to the late, great Wilt Chamberlain with everybody in the place, including all the players, but fixated on this.
An unbelievable moment here at the arena in Oakland. Bringing tears to people's eyes. Wilt, as great a player as there ever was, and even a better person. Wilt Chamberlain changed the way the game of basketball was played forever. The way the game of life was lived.
Yeah, and a wonderful tribute here during that break, giving the fans a little something special.
You know, all of these players were not even around. So to get a chance just to see some of the footage of Wilt in action certainly was a special moment for them.
It's still hard to believe when you look back at some of the numbers and some of the records. It's mind-boggling. Allan Houston stripped but fouled by Payton.
And there's Bill Russell, who spoke at the many, many tributes and memorials to Wilt Chamberlain. They became best of friends off the court, the bitterest of rivals on the court, each man playing their absolute best against each other. Wilt Chamberlain, the only person to have his number retired by 3 different franchises: Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and the Warriors here in the Bay Area.
And all with the tribute patches on their uniforms during the course of the regular season. Reset the lineups now for the West. Chris Webber and Michael Finley have come into the game along with David Robinson, Payton, and Rasheed Wallace. And for the East, Glenn Robinson, Miller, Dale Davis, Mutombo, and Allan Houston.
Well, the one thing that the West keeps doing is they keep keeping that big front wall out there, and it's making it difficult for the East to really get the dribble penetration that they need. Finley.
Michael Finley, who Scottie Pippen felt perhaps shouldn't have been in the All-Star game, making his first appearance.
You're sitting too close to Bill. You're starting to stir it up. That's all there is to it.
Remember, just before the Wilt tribute, they had the bumper of Coit Tower?
Yes.
When did they take that picture? Certainly not while we've been here.
Number 15, David Robinson.
The weather has just been a deluge here.
It has been raining for 3 days.
That must be high definition television at its best. That it can take the light out of the daytime and paint the nighttime black.
You know, I've had such an enjoyable weekend with you, I haven't even noticed that it's raining. You saw Miller's numbers in his previous 4 All-Star games. Miller having a good year after a little inconsistent last year. Wasn't happy with the way he played in the playoffs against the Knicks. Built himself up a little bit, did a lot of work in the offseason.
And in talking to Jeff Van Gundy, his arch rival of a coach in the regular season who was working with Reggie over the All-Star weekend here, Van Gundy was incredibly impressed about the work ethic, the discipline, the organization, and now realizes even more so why Reggie is a regular All-Star from UCLA.
Ball out of bounds, and it's going to go down to the East.
A regular All-Star? This is his 4th appearance, Bill.
He's got more than that. I know that.
Number 5 for Miller.
Thank you.
Robinson tipping it to himself. Big dog. Miller, Ray Allen, his first All-Star shot. And Dale Davis on the follow.
What a pass. Finally, one of these pretty boys decided that it's time to go inside, so he lobbed it beautifully to Dale Davis.
Well, we got a 5-point game because the group that's out there in the West right now, not quite as good, and they need more help. David Robinson missing, and all of their stuff is coming from the outside, but those are big men, Bill.
Where's Vince Carter? Where's Kobe Bryant?
Ball knocked out, still East ball, and Jerry Stackhouse will come in for the first time.
What all the coaches are trying to do is give everybody a run here early in the ball game.
And now everyone's been in. Stackhouse was the last
let's
player.
get some of these guys out and bring back Vince Carter. Bring back Kobe. Bring back Kevin Garnett.
Ray Allan, quick catch and shoot. Allan having a terrific season. Bucks coming in with Robinson, Allan. Many thought Sam Cassell should have been on the All-Star team.
Sam is the reason why Cassell and Glenn Robinson are here. Second in the league in assists, Sam Cassell is.
Allan, nice feed to his teammate.
The West is not getting back. The speed evident here as Van Gundy has called all the right defensive switches and assignments. They are just getting out in transition.
Are you switching to the speed team now?
Oh, absolutely. I switched on that last play.
Finley, that's a 2 from Michael Finley.
There was questions whether Finley belonged here with the Mavericks not doing very well, but I'm not one of those guys questioning his selection.
Finley and Mutombo, the only 2 players represented from teams with losing records.
But why would you question Mutombo and not Finley? Nice play, Michael Finley.
Because Michael Finley does things to help his team win.
Mutombo doesn't? Blocking shots, your favorite thing. Rebounding, your second favorite thing.
If you're a center, and you're leading the league in rebounds, you're leading the league in block shots, and your team's still in last place. What kind of game is that?
Why not just be happy for both of them?
I am so happy about it. I'm just sad for Latrell Sprewell, who got dissed once again. Just like they used to diss Dennis Rodman.
Weber, Wallace. Creativity.
A thing of beauty.
Wallace has had some of the biggest catches and throwdowns this year of anybody in the league, but even he couldn't get to that one from Weber.
Look at that UCLA pressing defense.
Misfires as Wallace with another rebound. Approaching the midway point of the second. It's been a game with very few whistles.
Mike, do you get the sense that this is a UCLA All-Star game?
Well, Miller and the East will go to the bench. They trailed by 11 early, but with 6:08 remaining in the second, the East has cut the lead to 3. At the arena in Oakland, both coaches have made sure everyone's played early on. And Vince Carter set to check back in. Carter was the leading vote getter amongst the fans for the starting lineups. Alonzo Mourning and Allen Iverson second and third, with Shaquille O'Neal now fourth.
Changing of the guard here. Alonzo Mourning used to be the villain. Used to be the guy who everybody loved to hate. Now they're voting him as the second most votes of all. Allen Iverson in third place is his first All-Star game. Alonzo Mourning just turned 30 years of age. He seems like he's about 22.
He's the only starter in the game at 30. Mourning also buried the hatchet with Jeff Van Gundy this week as Bryant hits a three-pointer.
Where, between his shoulder blades?
Mourning, of course, people remember 2 years ago, Van Gundy holding on to Mourning's leg in that playoff brawl, but the two of them patched it up in a nice conversation the other day.
Here
in Oakland.
You don't think that was related to lobbying for playing time, do you?
I don't think so. Van Gundy said he was embarrassed by the incident, was glad to actually get it out of the way.
That's the beautiful thing about basketball, about the NBA. It's all about moving forward, about what's next in the world. Alonzo Mourning should have shot a hook shot from 20 there.
Glenn Robinson working hard inside, and last touch by Ray Allan. And there you see Carter, Robinson, Stackhouse, Allan, and Mourning. And the West with Bryant and Garnett back in the game.
I know why Bill says these things, see, because he didn't have that creativity and mobility that he's always talking about.
I didn't have a game like this. This was not my type of game as a player.
There's a hook shot and a push and a foul.
So some free throws coming up. What were your recollections of your All-Star game?
But I didn't get to play in enough of them, that I was injured all the time, and that when I did play, the guards didn't play any defense, and I was getting dunked on all the time. and then I didn't get enough minutes when I did play. Other than that, it was wonderful. It's not a game for centers.
And one center now will take a free throws. Mourning hits the first. In 2 weeks on Sunday, the 27th, the biggest miniseries of the new millennium is coming to NBC. Enter the 10th Kingdom, a land where fairy tales are real. An epic miniseries event with an all-star cast and incredible special effects. The 10th Kingdom starting Sunday in 2 weeks here on NBC.
All right, now let me ask you this question, because Shaquille O'Neal came very close one year to winning the MVP award. It was given to Michael Jordan. Was it fair?
Shaq certainly doesn't think so. And I talked to him about it before, and I asked him what his most memorable all-star moment was. He said in San Antonio when he was dunking on everybody in his own hometown. He had a chance to be the star, and they gave it to Michael Jordan, and he was upset about it. Still is. Shaq wearing brand new shoes today, his own personal signature line, never been worn before in public.
Ray Allen has done a great job in the passing lane.
A steal to start it, and Ray Allen getting his feet wet in his initial all-star game.
Shaq walking up to the scoring table with those electric neon new shoes. Dunk.net, that's what they're called, and that's where they're available. Dunk.net.
I got to check to make sure you don't have a pair on right now.
Wait. He's on the payroll for several people here today.
That is not true. Just reporting facts, personal elements in people's lives.
It's all starting to become very clear to me now.
Well, if it is, be sure and clue me in.
Bryant, tough fall-away shot. Weber tries to follow. Garnett. Weber again.
I'm right with you, Mourning. Wave that one off. Kevin Garnett or Weber gets the hoop.
Alonzo has taken the wrong approach to this game. First of all, you never take the ball out of bounds. You never rotate defensively, and you never retreat on defense.
Mourning working hard. Alonzo Mourning right at Rasheed Wallace.
Over the top, Kobe.
Alley-oop.
He missed it.
Ray Allen's playing a lot of defense.
Ray Allen is playing up a storm, and Bill may change his vote here when he finds out what he's doing.
And there they are.
Dunk.net.
That's the only place you can get them?
The only place. That's what they're called. That's where you can get them. This is their debut appearance here in the Millennium All-Star Game.
Well, the starting front line, a huge one again in for the West, but they haven't really been that effective. Kobe has been firing away, and your man may not get a chance. Ray Allen again.
Allan trying to get a little too fancy, and O'Neal leading the 3-on-2.
Duncan, Shaq, take a charge.
No one stepping in front.
Take a charge, come on.
Duncan and take a charge, right?
Duncan breaks up that one. Here's a 3-on-1 again. Out of the way.
Who are they looking at when they come down and stare into the crowd?
Who? You mean the player?
Who are they looking at there? That's a tough shot. Iverson has made the two most difficult shots of the night. First of all, the scoop off Vince Carter's behind the back.
You get something for degree of difficulty in your voting?
You should.
Jason Kidd trying to take up a charge. Carter inside. And the crowd starting to get into it a bit.
2-point game.
Bryant back for Garnett.
Are they keeping score?
Of course they are. How do you think they're going to get the MVP?
Ray Allen with the foul.
It must be the shoes as Vince Carter chickens out and won't take a charge. Where is his heart? Shaquille O'Neal back-to-back. HDTV, Mike Breen.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm here. Coming up on Net Zero at the half, we'll have an all-star extravaganza live from the arena in Oakland, the NBA 2000 All-Star Halftime Show. It features LL Cool J and Mary J. Blige. That's coming up at halftime. Right now, the West leads the East 54-52 as we head back to the court.
Thank you, Hannah. I had a chance to watch the rehearsal of that halftime show. You're not going to want to miss a single second, Bill.
He's in there.
Oh, you're in it?
He's doing some rap of the Grateful Dead.
I'm going to be dancing, singing. I witnessed just maybe the seminal event of the new millennium when Kobe Bryant and Tyra Banks put on the show yesterday at Team Up. But this halftime celebration takes even that show to a new level.
Kobe was very nervous as Tara watches.
She has a watch on, too.
Just under 2.5 remaining in the second quarter. Vince Carter.
That's what we need. More shots from Vince Carter.
Starters in the game once again for the West.
But Ray Allen really made a significant contribution.
Well, he's still out there. And, you know, whenever they've been able to force these guys to set up a little bit, they've been able to get into passing lanes and get out and run, and that's going to be the only way that they're going to win. Iverson.
O'Neal with his third block of the game. Bryant ahead of the pack. Look at Allen again. Nice feed by Kobe Bryant. Kevin Garnett finishes.
Is Shaq auditioning for the Olympic volleyball team as well? Can you imagine him as the outside hitter? And he's kept every one of those blocks in play. Just the soft caress of Shaq, just guiding it right to his teammates.
Iverson connects. Iverson, of course, averaging over 31 per game to lead the league. Alley-oop! Jason Kidd and Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, Shaq may be going for his MVP right here. And then, you know, that'll end all that talk about centers. You're going to change and go with Shaq?
One more basket, yes.
He's got 12 points, 10 rebounds. And another whistle with 1:15 remaining in the second.
Bryant commits his first personal foul.
12 points, 10 rebounds, but he is playing really hard and above the rim.
How about the bottom of those shoes? Psychedelic.
What is it with you in these shoes?
This is innovation. This is about the new millennium. This whole celebration with the technology summit that we were at on Friday, with the NBA.com, voting for the MVP online. Shaquille O'Neal, just so reflective of everything that's new and fresh about the NBA.
He had a different pair on yesterday, I believe, at the practice, didn't he?
Oh, no, this is an unveiling today.
Right.
This is special. This is an event that people will remember as one of those defining moments in their lives. The day that Dunk.net shoes became available online.
Allen inside, and Ray Allen draws the foul. Garnett called for the foul.
Well, very quietly, Kevin Garnett making his own statement for at least getting some consideration for MVP. You know how many points he's got in the quarter, Bill?
But a guy makes a dunk and you make him MVP? Please. He's a forward. How many forwards get MVPs?
You want to start?
Allen connects.
Go into history?
Bob Pettit, Elgin Baylor. Oh, we got a
Now,
promo.
hang on. Tonight on NBC after the game, the entire cast of Homicide reunites. One of their own is gunned down, dark secrets revealed, and mysteries solved. An unforgettable world premiere movie event. Homicide, the movie, tonight after the game.
There's one guy over there that's got two of them he's a forward.
Karl Malone.
Yeah. I guess forwards win them.
Final minute, first half. Tim Duncan breaks it up nicely.
No, Tim Duncan's on the
same team. He broke it up from Kobe Bryant. That play was for Kobe. Tim Duncan thought it was for him, and he's walking back saying, my fault, I'm sorry, Kobe.
Tell you what, we've seen Alonzo Mourning and Ray Allen play as much defense in the first half of an All-Star game.
They'll learn.
Stackhouse. And Kidd looks up, about a little over a second remaining, and difference between shot and game clock.
You know who
but that's not a concern from anyone.
No, shot clock not a factor. You know who turned it out yesterday was Jason Williams in the rookie challenge.
Bryant. Allen stays right with him. And Duncan.
Vince Carter could not play in the Western Conference as a forward.
Why?
Because he'd have to play against Tim Duncan all the time. He'd have to play against Kevin Garnett, Karl Malone.
Iverson with another pretty assist, 4/10 of a second remaining. Kid trying to save it.
Let's get to the halftime extravaganza. Forget about the ball being out of bounds.
Shaquille O'Neal with 12 points and 7 rebounds. Alonzo Mourning with some very strong defense. And Mourning, the starting center, doing well. Stay tuned for the Net Zero at the half coming up after these messages. You're watching the NBA All-Star Game. Vince Carter again leading the way as 8 points, but it's Ray Allen, 9 points, coming up big. He also had 3 steals in that second quarter.
If you were going to pick an all-star in the first half from the East, it would be Ray Allen. If you're going to pick one from the West, I would go with Tim Duncan.
Duncan, one of 3 in double figures. The starters coming out here to start the third.
We'd have to ask you why.
Well, because Ray Allen did something to get the game going in the East favor as they're only down by 5 points when they've been outshot just horrendously. The East have shot 39%. The West shot 51%. The backboard differential has been absolutely incredibly dominant for the West. Then Tim Duncan, he kept balls alive. He dominated the backboards, particularly on the offensive end for the Western Conference.
So Vander Holyfield and Magic Johnson giving Vince Carter some tips as he walks out to start the third quarter.
The biggest tip is to shoot every time.
Well, that hasn't worked for Kobe Bryant. He's 3 of 9. So we're going to find out whether shoot every time finally gets Kobe going here, as they will be changing their attitude in the second half of play.
And a little defense to start here from the West. Mourning gets O'Neal up in the air. Alonzo Mourning. He's had a game face on much of this one.
A statement opportunity, because while Alonzo Mourning last year was first team NBA, beat out Shaq. A lot of people said, well, it was Shaq's deficiencies that led to that. Granted, Alonzo was terrific.
Garnett off the mark. O'Neal the rebound.
But as the Lakers fell apart last year, now here's a bad matchup. Thank goodness Alonzo came over and saved Vince Carter.
Well, then a bad matchup with Iverson on Garnett. Kevin Garnett now with 14 points.
That always shows up whenever they get an offensive rebound. And that's what the East is going to have to try to guard against. And the way they can get some offensive rebounds is to drive the ball. No, goaltending. Goaltending.
Is that Jason Kidd's basket or is that Tim Duncan's basket? But the West rebounders, I don't know if there's ever been a front line that can rebound like this, like Shaq, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan. In transition, Jason Kidd up the floor, tries for the lob. I don't think Tim Duncan even touched that ball.
Well, they've given it to Kidd.
It's a three-pointer.
Yeah.
Well, on high-definition television, you can see that was clearly a violation of the rules of life, human decency, and the NBA.
Carter able to hit it. We are told, amongst our viewers on HDTV, is Paul Allen here.
Well, Paul Allen responsible for the technological revolution that is sweeping not only the world at large, but the NBA in particular this weekend.
Mourning. And Alonzo Mourning. Mourning now in double figures with 11.
Well, this is the future of television, and Paul Allen is one of those guys that likes to be right on the cutting edge. So I know he's enjoying this game.
Iverson going at Shaq.
Beautiful pass, Iverson. East has really come out to play here. I don't know what Phil Jackson told their West, at halftime, but they have come out lethargic.
And Allen Iverson with his 6th assist. Kid had 9 in the first half. Bryant. Duncan, nice touch pass, and Garnett lays it in.
Every time they miss, that's when they get in trouble.
Eddie Jones's turn.
Absolutely exquisite ball handling for the East. The West is dominant above the rim in a half-court set. The East is dominant in transition basketball.
Grant Hill trying it again.
Oh, Shaq should have been there last night, huh?
I think the dunk contest should have been included. Should have included Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Brent Berry, and there was one other guy I can't think of. Kobe Bryant. That's right, Kobe Bryant. Just those 4 guys and forget the rest of them.
I thought Steve Francis handled
Steve
himself
Francis
very well.
did a very nice job. A little better than Larry Hughes.
Hughes had his problems. Kidd flips it out, and Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan from Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd with his 10th assist. Knocks it away from Iverson.
How is that not a foul? Allen Iverson knocked to the floor.
Well, you told me there would be very few whistles, and that's been the story. But they came to see him play.
Bryant flips it in. And an 8-0 run by the West, and their lead back up to 10.
Jabbar. Have you seen Kareem this weekend? He's about the only guy I haven't seen here, but I've been a little bit busy.
Well, he's not on, what is that, dunknet.com, whatever that is. That's probably the reason you didn't see him.
Dunk.net.
That's a 3 from Iverson. Allan Iverson from downtown.
Allan Iverson.
Iverson, just an effortless score. When he got 50 last weekend, that was a thing of beauty. Reminded me very much of the way that World Be Free and Freeman Williams used to play. Just one against the world.
Freeman Williams was at Portland State. Is that where he went?
Portland State. I saw Freeman get 85 in a college game.
21, Kevin Garnett.
And he didn't have a very good game.
Iverson right at Garnett. And Duncan the other way. A steal from the NBA steal leader.
That's what Eddie Jones does best, and Carter had some excitement on his mind, but he couldn't get a handle on it.
Jones, as O'Neal goes inside. Followed by Duncan.
Now the game's starting to get wide open, virtually on the edge of losing any semblance of organization and discipline here. Over the top, Garnett. Oh, Kobe missed him. Or he froze him out.
Which is Garnett inside, blocked by Mourning. Alonzo Mourning.
Fine Vince Carter.
And Hill underneath. And he's coming right back down by 9.
That time, Grant Hill couldn't figure where to throw the ball for Vince Carter, so he took it himself. But, you know, when you look at advantage, disadvantage, really, it still comes down to that front wall of O'Neal, Garnett, and Duncan, and they've been doing everything on second efforts whenever they miss.
Shaq Mourning playing some excellent defense. And Bryant on a foul. Kobe Bryant picking up the personal. And Iverson to shoot some free throws with 6.5 remaining here in the third. The East trying to claw back. The West has been up by as many as 11. East have never led in this one. And with just under 6.5 remaining in the third, it's a 9-point lead. You're watching the NBA All-Star Game on NBC.
Bring the skill level back into the game and forget about the pushing, the shoving, the holding, the grabbing of the big thugs out there.
Well, that was the hope. They still have some ways to go in terms of coaches letting the players play and players really moving themselves in the ball a little bit quicker.
They would just eliminate the illegal defensive rule entirely instead of trying to fine-tune it and make it perfectly clear. We'd all be a lot better off.
Has there in your guys' minds any team or player either really benefited or been hurt by the rule changes more than most?
The Knicks have been hurt, but the Knicks are so tough as a team psychologically. Oh.
Kobe Bryant finishing.
Miami took advantage. I think Miami worked harder on trying to change their game than any other team.
But it hadn't produced the results that they want here of late.
Injuries
they got a great start.
Bryant goes down hard.
Injuries have killed Miami. It's too early to tell what's happening with them.
Eddie Jones with the three-pointer. Jones, so important to Charlotte. He missed 10 games. They went 2-8 without him. And with him, they are one of the dangerous teams in the East.
What Eddie Jones shows is great versatility within the team game. And defensively, he's great in the passing lanes, leading the league in steals.
Short on that three. Iverson the rebound. Iverson this time. And Allan Iverson now with 15 points.
Well, they're coming in burst for this Eastern team. They get down by 10, run back. They're now within 6, and Iverson 7.
Kobe has really settled into his all-star move, into his all-star groove here. He's just sort of floating out on the perimeter on defense. I think he was inspired by the Freeman Williams comment.
Bryant inside to Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal with 18, and the West lead back up to 8 with just under 5 to play in the third.
Well, in every surge that they've had, it's been O'Neal, Garnett, or Duncan that's brought them back and kept the lead up there around 8 or 10. And all of them in double figures, 18, 18, and 16. Grant Hill.
Three-pointer won't go. Hill has been shooting well from three-point range this season for the first time. Nice feed from Alonzo Mourning.
He didn't need a shooting coach for that.
Alonzo Mourning has just been everywhere. I'm just disappointed he didn't shoot a hook shot from behind the three-point line after he got the offensive rebound.
What is it with you, this long-distance hook?
It's the All-Star game.
Garnett against Carter. Kevin Garnett. Eddie Jones the rebound in traffic. And it's going to be East ball. And substitutions, Dikembe, Mutombo, and Jerry Stackhouse in.
Now it's breaking down here to the big guys who have come to bail out the pretty boys who have been bricking from the perimeter. But with Alonzo Mourning drawing Shaq away from the basket with his newly acquired outside shooting skills. Alonzo Mourning has certainly helped his team get right back into this game. East trails by 6.
Well, Grant Hill is out of the ball game, and Stackhouse in. Mutombo with the throwdown hook.
There you go.
Jabbar, take back everything, Dikembe.
Now the West has played their starters the entire third quarter. As Kobe Bryant gets inside, Mutombo on the rebound.
Just like they drew it up.
Iverson coast to coast.
Allan Iverson.
Iverson having a big third quarter. He now has 17.
Yeah, 9 in the quarter, and he's got them back within 2. So this is a big play for the East defense.
O'Neal backing in.
Now, let me ask you this question.
You better describe that play.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Can a player go out in an all-star game and decide he's going to be MVP?
Absolutely.
Before the game and do it?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, so little of it is in your control. I mean, Michael Jordan was able to do it. Magic Johnson in the Orlando All-Star game.
Kevin Garnett.
Well, that Orlando game was kind of a game of fate, though, for Magic Johnson, because Clyde Drexler had a game where everybody was ready to vote him MVP until Magic, made those last 2 threes.
Iverson to Jerry Stackhouse. Stackhouse having a fabulous season. And the starting lineup this year with Detroit.
Who besides you, Clyde, and his mother were about to give it?
Not bad. You were there, and before Magic made the 3 threes in a row.
No, it was all Magic.
No way. So here it is. Now, Allan Iverson is a big impact in this quarter with scoring and assists.
Iverson trying to get it to Carter. And Jerry Stackhouse puts it down.
The East have come alive now. They're playing a lot quicker. The West not even running back. Phil Jackson's in a veritable quandary right now.
Remaining in the third period.
Here, Kobe Bryant's trying to take over this game, and it's the first time all season that Kobe's actually listened to Phil.
But I'm saying to you, because Allan Iverson has made this big run, got them back in the ball game, does he suddenly start getting votes?
Over the top.
Beautiful pass, and Stackhouse can't finish. Jason Kidd quickly the other way. O'Neal. He's got a little more range on that shot this year.
I'm pushing Shaq to enter the 2-ball competition.
He's got 22.
Shaq and Lisa Leslie representing the Lakers.
Timeout.
A dream combination.
Timeout call by Van Gundy. Just under a minute and a half remaining in the third. You're watching HDTV, the NBA All-Star Game on NBC. The front line for the West getting it done, but Allan Iverson heating up here in the third quarter. Just 1:23 remaining in the period. Stackhouse right at Finley. Jerry Stackhouse.
Well, you know what? Stackhouse is a better game dunker than he is a slam dunker.
He had the unfortunate position of ending up behind Vince Carter in the draw last night. So I don't care who they were going to put out there. That guy was going to be in trouble, as Jerry Stackhouse certainly was, but not as much as Larry Hughes.
Jason Kidd. Mutombo the rebound. East has never led in this one. They're down by 2, under a minute to play in the third. Ray Allen, who had a big second quarter, puts it up. And Allen continues to play well. Once again, it's tied.
I don't do a lot of Milwaukee Bucks games, although I wish I would, because they have this big dog that comes to the game and barks every time we're there. But I was surprised how tall Ray Allen is.
Well, when
he's
they
a
say
full 6'6".
Wait, dude, when he was sitting next to that dog, and
No,
that
no,
dog was 6'5"?
No. That's why I like going to Milwaukee so much, because they have a dog that comes to the game and barks every time Glenn Robinson does something like shoot a 3.
And Robinson puts it in. And the East with their first lead of the game. 30 seconds remaining in the third.
And that dog goes like whoop, whoop. One thing we know, those two guys can flat out shoot.
Duncan.
Beautiful wraparound backdoor pass by Weber. That pass was invented by post players Wilt Chamberlain, with a tribute to Wilt. Appropriate that Chris Webber brings it out. A real student of the history of the game, Chris Webber.
Webber knocked away with a reach-in foul on Jerry Stackhouse. It's only the first team foul.
You have big guys who can throw that pass right on the money to another big guy, just adding new dimensions. Chris Webber, representative of the new look NBA, highlighted by the Sacramento Kings and the Maloof family ownership.
Webber falling down, able to give it in at the buzzer. that will end the third quarter as the East finally gets their first lead, but the West able to go up by 2 after 3 quarters. Shaquille O'Neal dominant throughout, the 22 points and 9 boards, but Allen Iverson coming up big in the third, 17 points and 8 assists. The arena in Oakland, site of the 2000 NBA All-Star Game. Shaquille O'Neal and the West with a 2-point lead. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Ray Allen has not missed an NBA game in his 3+ years, and here in his first All-Star appearance, doing a nice job off the bench for the East.
And he's the guy that's really given the East bench some pop and kept them in the ball game, and it's a real thrill for him to be here. I remember last year he was in. Last year we had one in New York. He was in the hotel lobby. He was walking around and just kind of was just awed by everything, and he thought, this would really be great, and he's had the kind of year he should be rewarded with an appearance.
It's so great that he is having such a strong game because he is not the flashy, high-flying player. He's got a very controlled, disciplined game. He made it happen early on the defensive end, and then he started finding his game with good opportunistic forays to the hoop.
All right, Mike, we got to start heading toward that MVP voting, in the frontline guys of the West. They're leading candidates, and I guess it's the backcourt with Allen Iverson in the
throw Kobe out of the equation.
So he's gone now. You've deserted him.
And now the question is, does Phil Jackson come and try to pump up his guy, Shaq? You get to vote online, NBA.com. Get right there right now and vote many times.
John Stockton in the game now. Stockton only playing 3 minutes so far, as has Karl Malone. The new Jazz player, Stackhouse picks up his second foul.
There was a lot of question and controversy whether Karl Malone would even be here today. He did charter in. I talked to him in the locker room. He got to see 3 of his kids' games before he flew in. You're a 12-time All-Star, Karl Malone, always doing his duty, making sure he represents the NBA as well as possible.
He's never been a fan of the game, says Weber, falling back short. Didn't want to play, basically, said this year because he was banged up. One of the rest, as you mentioned, one of the time of the families, as Stockton puts it in. But he was very unhappy 2 years ago with Kobe Bryant and his display at Madison Square Garden in the All-Star game.
But the players have to be here. This cannot be a choice thing of saying, well, I don't want to go. To Karl Malone, it's old. It has become old hat to him, but he still has a responsibility to the fans, to the game, and to the NBA.
Rasheed Wallace, Payton looking ahead. Wallace, of course, the lone representative of, as you see, Malone, the Portland Trailblazers, best record in the NBA. Steve Jones, you see them all the time. Is Wallace the go-to guy on that team?
Yeah, he is. The big problem for him really is being in the game emotionally. And when he's in the game emotionally, the Trailblazers are much tougher. He's got 22 technicals. I think he's been tossed 4 times. So, that's going to be the concern for Mike Dunleavy.
Where's Scottie Pippen? Why isn't he in this game? He is the guy that has made Portland the championship favorite at the midway point.
I keep asking you, how do you make your selections? And you keep changing.
Wallace from outside.
Consistency is the basis of my life, Steve.
Stackhouse against Finley. The big dog, Glenn Robinson, putting it in. The East again within 2.
Thank goodness they didn't bring that barking dog here to San Francisco.
I think the guy is
here. Have you seen him walk by?
He's not here, but I think he's got residence in San Diego.
Goodness, you didn't need another distraction, Bill.
Heavens, no. There's certainly plenty of that walking around with the glitz, the glamour.
Ray Allen, the last to touch it. Stockton, Payton, Rasheed Wallace, Weber, and Finley out there for the West as they bring it up.
Well, with the group that they have out there on the floor, that's how the East got back in the game, and see if the East can take it over. Stockton's been the most efficient player in the shortest period of time. Has done something good every time he's touched the ball, only played about 5 minutes.
Three-pointer, Michael Finley. Finley having a great all-around season, nearly 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists a game.
How about Dennis Rodman coming back? How about the whole new exciting atmosphere they've got there with the new ownership? Mark Cuban coming in, again reflective of the changing NBA.
All I can say is after 3+ quarters, Tom Hammond is the most underpaid sportscaster in the history of the business. Ray Allen with Miller, Houston, Davis, and Robinson. Miller, long three, blocked by Rasheed Wallace. And now we'll see a little bit of the defense pick up.
Well, you know what's interesting, as I said before, some players have a hard time playing in all-star games. You know, first time because of their style of play, and the players that have struggled the most are the frontline players in that second unit for the West.
I think Vince Carter's fallen into a little bit of that trap of not knowing how to play these games.
Allan Houston trying for the rebound.
He hasn't got a ton of minutes, Vince Carter. But
Nice pass.
Finley down the other way. And the lead for the West is back up to 7. They've been up by as many as 11. East briefly had a 2-point lead in the third.
But the East has never really been able to control the backboards enough to where they can take absolute control of this game.
Allan stripped. Payton the other way.
Over the top, Finley.
Wallace. Wallace started too soon.
Well, that's the first time he's really had his chance to get one and get his hands on the ball and throw it down, and he lost control of that one. But this was a great setup this time for Wallace, who usually throws these down with a lot of authority.
And we saw Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal looking over there laughing, saying, we hope he misses a lot of those down the stretch. Because for the Lakers to beat Portland, if Portland has the home court advantage, it's going to be very difficult, Steve, in the playoffs in the West.
It may come down to the game on February 29th at the end of the month, in which they get together, and that might determine home court advantage. Portland right now leads 2-1. The Lakers know they got to have that game.
Is that game on NBC on HDTV?
Payton fires a three. And a foul. Ray Allen hit him on the arm, and Payton will shoot 3 free throws.
Phil Jackson will certainly be there February 29th, Tuesday, Lakers at Portland. He's having a terrific weekend. A lot of time spent campaigning for Bill Bradley. Bill Bradley has been in the Bay Area throughout All-Star Weekend.
Next Saturday, we'll be back with some great NBA action. Showtime kicks it off at 3 Eastern. Most of you will see a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Final. Reggie Miller and the Pacers facing Latrell Sprewell and the Knicks. Some will see the Pistons and the Jazz from Utah. A special Saturday edition of the NBA on NBC next Saturday at 3 Eastern.
Speaking of the Knicks Pacers next Saturday night, what about the return of Marcus Camby and Larry Johnson?
Camby will not play. Camby's out for about a month. And Larry Johnson expected as Miller and Stockton battling. Foul on John Stockton. Larry Johnson out with a chip bone in his foot. Going to try and return on Tuesday when they play in Toronto.
You can see the John Stockton attitude, whether it's All-Star game or anything else, is the same as Reggie Miller gets a seat right in Bill Russell's lap. But he plays the same way all the time, and it's what has made John Stockton kind of a legendary, regular, fundamental player.
Stockton's actually healthier than he's been in years. He had elbow surgery this summer, something that had been bothering him for a couple of years. Finally had it. And he feels his best health in about 3 years.
And he's deservedly back in the All-Star game. He missed the last one because he had his first major injury, knee surgery at the start of the season 2 years ago. Kept him out, or kept him off the team. All-time leader in steals and assists, John Stockton. It's an absolute credit to what the game of basketball and the NBA is all about.
Yeah, this is really the first real lull that we've had in scoring. We've gone back and forth in about 5 possessions. Neither team has done anything but turn it over.
Where's Shaq? Where's Kobe? Where's Vince Carter?
6-minute mark, Bill.
But then they come back too stiff.
You're always telling me these are young guys. They're not like you.
Allan Houston, nice pass to Ray Allen. Robinson on the follow. Beautiful play from Glenn Robinson.
That is a huge play by the big dog.
How did they not call a foul? Ray Allen basically had his arm ripped off. Where is the emergency room medical care here?
Wallace. And Rasheed Wallace getting his first 2 points. Double-digit lead for the West. Still plenty of time. And there, the foul. Sprawling. Michael Finley wanting a jump ball. But Allan will shoot some free throws. We've got timeout. Just over 5 minutes gone by. Fourth quarter in Oakland. The East down by 10. During that timeout, Michael Jordan appearing at center court, getting a rousing ovation. A little video tribute. And once again, the fans going wild. for number 23. Next year in the All-Star game, be at the MCI Center in Washington, so they pass the torch from the Golden State Warriors to the Washington Wizards.
Promises to be an incredibly special weekend as that Wizard franchise rebounds from quite a long spell of futility, mediocrity, disappointing returns. This man right here now charged with turning all of that around, and I'm sure he'll be successful.
But quite a challenge for him.
Well, when you've got players like Ike Austin on the franchise, that's just going to ensure that everything is going to go your way.
Well, we see the future sights. Washington has that one. Philadelphia, because they didn't get last year, they're in a makeup situation, and they'll get 2002.
And Pat Croce has promised to make that 2002 All-Star with Allen Iverson, Larry Brown, and all the cast of characters. He promises to make that the best All-Star game ever.
Ray Allen will shoot 2 free throws.
A bold promise, because we've had a pretty good time here this weekend.
Oh, the nice weather, the lack of traffic. It's been absolutely spectacular here.
You've had a smile on your face all weekend.
Are you kidding? I have more fun at the All-Star game than any 20,000 people who are here.
Allen, 1 of 2 from the line.
Garnett, Duncan, possible MVP guys, back in on that front line for the West.
Duncan off the glass.
Number 21, Tim Duncan.
Why do more players not use the glass?
It breaks. I mean, everybody can't shoot the glass. I mean, it's a good idea, but a lot of guys just get bricks off there.
Not everyone had the privilege of playing for Coach Wood.
Allan Houston for 3. Ray Allen.
Self-check.
Kevin Garnett called for the foul, so Ray Allen will shoot 2.
Well, the guys who do shoot it: Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, Maurice Taylor from the Los Angeles Clippers. Scottie Pippen. Maurice Taylor went to college at a school that really teaches that kind of stuff up at Michigan. Tim Duncan's coach. Dave Odom down at Wake Forest.
You mean to tell me?
I'm not sure who Scottie Pippen's college coach was.
Well, it's okay. You're telling me that all of the players that use the glass have to go to a certain type of school or coach?
No, they have to think glass all the time, and that's a reflection of where they went to college.
Garnett inside to Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace with authority.
Wallace from Kevin Garnett.
Lead back up to 11, over 5.5 remaining.
Where's Shaq? How is Phil Jackson going to get Shaq MVP?
Houston off the glass. Dell Davis keeps it alive. Lost it out of bounds. Still East ball. Well, Allen Iverson will come back in.
Shaq might have gone online to check the returns on dunk.net, or at least to vote for himself, as well he should, with 3 assists, 3 nice blocks to ignite fast breaks.
The defense from Gary Payton, but Houston still puts it in.
There's no defense to Allan Houston when he's in that kind of zone.
Payton inside. Duncan, an easy follow.
Tim Duncan.
Duncan now with 22, same as Shaquille O'Neal. Duncan also with 11 rebounds.
If Shaq doesn't come back pretty soon, Tim Duncan could get this MVP.
Iverson, some moves from the crowd, but can't finish. Payton, nice pass to John Stockton. And right now, the lead is up to 13, the largest lead for the West.
Shoot a 3.
Houston will. And Payton the rebound. Houston playing with a sprained ankle.
You know, Mike, for a guy that lived above the rim and in the high percentage area, I think his dream was always to just be able to come down and launch one from about half court, because in every game you'll hear him say, shoot a 3. Just pull up and shoot a 3.
Ball knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Wallace. East will take over. And Alonzo Mourning will come back in.
In transition, Gary Payton finds it. A guy he has had very good success against, but also a guy that Gary Payton realizes is one of the type of players that paved the way for what Gary Payton does today. A guy who has complete control of the game, Gary Payton and Stockton now retreat to the bench. The hometown fans give him a tremendous salute.
Jason Kidd back in. Kidd leading the way with 13 assists. Mourning.
It's a good thing that they forgot the traveling violation today.
East down by 11, just under 4.5 remaining.
Did you meet with the officials before the game and find out exactly what they were thinking about?
I would never do anything like that, Steve. You know, the officials are by themselves all the time. They are on their own.
Bryant the other way off Iverson. Kidd.
Alonzo Mourning blocked that ball.
Nice feed from Kobe Bryant.
That is as great a defensive player as we've seen in the history of all-star competition. Alonzo Mourning at one end. 3 traveling violations, 4 traveling violations, hanging on the rim, and then on the defensive end, makes it all happen. Blocks this shot, the league's leading shot blocker, and then forces Kobe Bryant into a rare pass. Defensive Player of the Year, Alonzo Mourning last year. Leads the league in blocked shots on the season, but still far away from Mark Eaton's all-time record of, I think, 458 blocked shots in one season.
Jeff Van Gundy has called Mourning the best effort player in the league. And considering the injury to Tim Hardaway being out so long, and yet Miami's still right up there at the top of the East, he's been as good as anybody.
But whether Miami will be an effective force in the playoffs is yet to be seen. This is the team that's lost in the first round the last 2 years.
Carter. Yeah, Vince Carter, who sat for quite some time, able to put it in.
Well, you know, everybody talks about Miami and New York, but I think the dark horse in a team that, if they road, has as much talent as Indiana, New York, Miami, Charlotte Hornets. We'll find out whether they come to play next weekend.
What about Toronto and Philadelphia?
No, not ready yet.
What do you mean not ready?
Kobe Bryant was ready for that pass, but then Iverson able to gather the errant ball.
Allan Iverson.
We're down to MVP time, and there's no clear-cut favorite here. This is really going to be interesting.
Well, is you know, if the West wins, is it Garnett,
For 21,
who's got more
Kevin
points than
Garnett.
anybody else in the game? Is it Tim Duncan, who's been probably more efficient, or is it Shaquille O'Neal?
Hopefully they're not going to let the people vote for this MVP. It's the people who didn't vote for Latrell Sprewell to get here.
Kidd, alley-oop. Kobe Bryant. And a 13-point lead once again with just over 2.5 remaining.
Kobe Bryant adding a signature slap to the basket. I haven't seen that one yet. Nice pass out of the double team, Allan Iverson.
Houston tried the left hand and drew the foul. And Allan Houston was shooting up. So Kobe Bryant coming in perhaps a little late for his MVP consideration, for the West in control. 2:32 remaining. They lead the East by 13. You're watching the NBA All-Star Game on NBC.
I'm trying to give me a vote here. I've been working on you since the fourth quarter. We're down to the game is over. The West has won. Who are you going to vote for?
Does it have to be from the winning team?
When was the last player to be selected from a losing team?
I'm going to say Dr. J.
You're not sure.
Was it Dr. I know Dr. J has done it as on a losing team before.
You're still not sure.
I don't know the answer.
I know, and you had the little cheat sheet before.
I don't have that kind of trivial information, Steve, at the tip of my fingertips. There's Dr. J and his lovely, talented wife, Turquoise, on the left of your screen. Dr. J now a senior executive with the Orlando Magic as they try desperately to get back into the playoff picture in the East.
What a job Doc Rivers has done for them. Wallace right at Mourning. Mourning blocked it, but a foul.
Number 33.
And Rasheed Wallace
Alonzo
will shoot two.
You know, if you were to say Allan Iverson probably leading the way for the East in All-Star consideration, I mean MVP consideration, maybe Mourning for that defensive attitude, because just again, we have seen he's not letting anybody come in his house without being challenged as Rasheed Wallace goes to the free throw line. But, you know, it's come in spurts, and really the most consistent player in terms of keeping the energy up has been Allan Iverson.
I'm going to vote for Shaq. It's time to put the votes in. Get online, NBA.com. Shaq has been the most dominant player. Every time he needed a basket, he took it right to him.
Well, the overall numbers, Garnett with more points. Duncan's 11 of 13 from the field, but I go with Duncan. Jones.
They didn't have the impact. I mean, you're one of those guys that think it's all about stats, Mike. It's about impact and control.
What do you mean they didn't have any impact? It was Duncan that was early.
But then the East came back, and it was Shaq who opened it up again.
Wallace!
Blocked by Mourning.
Wallace again in his foul. Alonzo Mourning refuses to let them have that alley-oop.
And look at the score. I mean, you know, they're 11 up, and this is supposed to be kind of a freelance give you something game, and Mourning refuses as Wallace came in with a lot of authority and still could not get it.
Steve, we have the answer to your trivial question.
We'll get to the answer in just a moment as Wallace's first free throw is good. A doubleheader with NBA Showtime kicking off at 2:30 Eastern. Game 1, Stephon Marbury in his first return to Minnesota. Nets take on Kevin Garnett and the talented T-Wolves. Others will see the Blazers facing the Kings. Some will see the Heat battling the Hornets. And then in the nightcap, 3 of the most exciting players, Allan Iverson, who scored 50 points last week on NBC, facing Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and the LA Lakers.
How about Stephon Marbury's return to Minnesota? That will be a dynamic event, as that slam dunk was right there. With Stephon Marbury, an egregious omission from this event this weekend. Look for him to make a huge statement. Next Sunday, New Jersey at Minnesota.
Would you make up your mind he's playing on a losing team?
He deserves to be here. The only reason they're not a winning team is because they've had too many injuries.
Jason Williams still has not played for them. Kittle's been banged up.
The answer to Steve's trivial question was the last player.
Right at Mourning, Tim Duncan.
We'll never get the answer if you keep stopping.
What was the question again?
Who was the losing? Was there a player on the losing team that was MVP?
Magic Johnson back in 1990 at Miami, where the West won 130-113. Chuck Daly out-coaching Pat Riley.
The West won. Magic was in the West.
No, the East.
Yeah, I know.
Kobe Bryant.
He's having trouble with it.
I must be listening to your statistician, Mike.
Iverson at the other end. So we've got less than a minute remaining. Looks like the West will win it.
Steve, who's your vote for MVP?
Tim Duncan. I think Duncan had the most efficient line of the front line players. I think the most spectacular were Garnett and Shaquille O'Neal, but Duncan steady all the way through, got some big offensive rebounds. I'm giving my vote to Duncan.
Oh, he should give his vote, Duncan. He should give the trophy to Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson kept him in the game at Shaq's expense. Lakers start a big 6-game road trip. Obviously, they want to make sure Shaq is ready for that. They didn't want him to get hurt.
Shaq playing about 40 minutes a game this season.
Inspired by Wilt, Phil Jackson challenged him, said Wilt used to play every minute of every game, and Shaquille O'Neal said, hey, if Wilt can do it, I can do it.
Well, they're wanting somebody to take the final shot. The crowd here and the players are trying to dribble it out. You know, they booed the owner, so they'll boo a player.
Final seconds, and the West will emerge victorious as Vince Carter tries to get fancy. And the final score, the West 137 and the East 126.
A reminder, you can log on to NBA.com for our All-Star 2000 postgame show. Steve Jones will chat with fans and highlight some of the more memorable moments from the weekend on NBA. Let's take a look at the online balloting and who the fans thought should have been the MVP of this All-Star game, in which the West broke a 3-game losing streak to the East. Overwhelmingly, they go for Shaq. Let's find out officially who the MVP or MVPs are as we go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. It is now time for the presentation of the NBA All-Star 2000 MVP Award. To make that presentation, here's the Commissioner of the NBA, David Stern.
First of all, thank you, Golden State, for being a great host for this wonderful All-Star game. It's great to be back. We've had a great weekend. You saw our new generation of stars in the rookie game, the 2-ball. You saw our 3-point shot, and you saw our new slam dunk champion. You saw our wonderful stars. and I'm delighted to be here to present only one trophy. No matter how long I talk, we can't get the second one here fast enough. And so I'd like to say that we've had a great game today. What an extraordinary showing. And the co-MVPs of the 2000 All-Star Game are Tim Duncan and Shaquille O'Neal. Congratulations, and share the trophy.
What is playing a game like this with all your peers, all the stars? It's got to make you feel good to play in an all-star game.
Oh, it's great. Come out here and play with these guys. It's so much fun. You just run up and down and see what happens.
And Shaq, for you, you guys are MVPs. You go down in the history of the NBA, some of the great names. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I'm just glad to be here with all the other great players, and we had a good time today.
So now who gets to take the trophy home?
He got one of those rings, so I'm taking this.
This is a wonderful situation. We will see you guys battling throughout the season and probably on into the playoffs. Congratulations to both of you. All right, back to you, Bob.
All right, Ahmad, Tim Duncan shot 12 of 14, 24 points, 14 rebounds. Shaquille O'Neal, 11 for 20, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. There have been co-MVPs before. Malone and Stockton of Utah in '93, and back in 1959, Elgin Baylor of the Lakers and Bob Pettit of the Hawks shared it in a Western Conference victory.